touched by the ED. Selective justice is actually nothing but political thuggery.
असलियत ये है कि ये नरेंद्र मोदी जी की प्रतिशोध की राजनीति है, ये मोदी जी की घिनौनी राजनीति है और इसका सामना हम कोर्ट में करेंगे। लेकिन जो लोगों का आक्रोश है, जो जनता आक्रोश है, जो हमारे कार्यकर्ताओं का आक्रोश है, वो बिल्कुल आपको दिख रहा है, क्योंकि ये दिखाता है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी डरते हैं, वो हमारे नेता से डरते हैं, वो उन मुद्दों से डरते हैं जो हम उठाते हैं, और वो कांग्रेस का जो संगठनात्मक ढांचा तैयार हो रहा है उससे भयभीत है, घबराए हुए हैं। और राहुल गांधी जी वो शख्स हैं जो ना आपसे डरते हैं, ना आपसे धमकते हैं। आपने 50 घंटे ईडी से पूछताछ कराई, आप 500 घंटे और करा लीजिए। ये केस बोगस है, लेकिन राहुल गांधी जो मुद्दे उठा रहे हैं उसने आपकी कलई जरूर खोल दी है।
शायद सवाल ये होना चाहिए कि नेशनल हेरल्ड के माध्यम से गांधी परिवार को टारगेट क्यों किया जा रहा है, या फिर नेशनल हेरल्ड और गांधी परिवार के माध्यम से कांग्रेस पार्टी को क्यों टारगेट किया जा रहा है। हो सकता है सवाल यह होना चाहिए कि नेशनल हेरल्ड, गांधी परिवार और कांग्रेस पार्टी के माध्यम से इस देश के करोड़ों मजलूमों को टारगेट क्यों किया जा रहा है। 1937 में अंग्रेज चिढ़ते थे नेशनल हेरल्ड से और गांधी परिवार से और कांग्रेस पार्टी से। आज 2025 में राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ चिढ़ता है गांधी परिवार से और कांग्रेस पार्टी से, और नेशनल हेरल्ड को एक जरिया बनाया जा रहा है। मोदी जी, हमें मालूम है आपको दर्द क्यों होता है। वो एक गाना सुना था हमने कि चोट किसी को लगती है और दर्द किसी को होता है। राहुल गांधी जब मुंह खोलते हैं आपके दो हैं, चोट वहां लगती है, दर्द यहां होता है।
सोनिया जी, राहुल गांधी बेल पर हैं। इन्होंने पूरी कार्रवाई को क्वाश करने के लिए हाई कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का दरवाजा खटखटाया और कोई राहत नहीं मिली। सिर्फ यही राहत मिली कि आप पर्सनली कोर्ट में अपीयर नहीं होइएगा, यू विल अपीयर थ्रू लॉयर। तो जो चीज 4 साल से चल रही है, जिसमें आप संतोषजनक जवाब नहीं दे पाए, जहां कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, वहां पर कर रहे हैं वेंडेटा। और उनके जो मेंबरान पार्लियामेंट हैं, देश के नामी गिरामी वकील, वो भी इसको अजीब प्रकार की बेबुनियाद तर्के दे रहे हैं। कानून अपना काम कर रहा है, द लॉ इज टेकिंग इट्स ओन कोर्स। हम बीजेपी की ओर से सोनिया गांधी और राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस पार्टी से सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं, क्या कानून को अपना काम नहीं करना चाहिए?
मैं एक नैतिक प्रश्न पूछना चाहता हूं। कांग्रेस के लगातार 5-6 दशक तक सत्ता में रहने के बावजूद कांग्रेस के अनुसार स्वतंत्रता संग्राम सेनानियों को समर्पित पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी के द्वारा स्थापित ये तीनों अखबार इस कदर घाटे में कैसे चले गए कि वो बंद हो गए। कांग्रेस सरकारों ने उन्हें कोई सपोर्ट नहीं किया। बाकी तो छोड़िए, क्या कांग्रेस कार्यकर्ताओं ने भी सपोर्ट नहीं किया? अगर केवल कांग्रेस के 10% कार्यकर्ता भी नवजीवन, नेशनल हेरल्ड और कौमी आवाज खरीदते रहते तो उनके बंद होने की नौबत नहीं आ सकती थी, और 90 करोड़ का घाटा तो 10 साल के अंदर चुटकी बजाते हुए पूरा हो जाता। तो कांग्रेस से भी पूछना चाहता हूं, अंग्रेजी में नेशनल हेरल्ड, हिंदी में नवजीवन, ये उर्दू में कौमी आवाज को भी आपको ग्राहक नहीं मिल रहे थे। ये तो दिखाई पड़ रहा है कि लगता कांग्रेस के पदाधिकारियों और कार्यकर्ताओं की ही आस्था उनके इस जो दावे है कि स्वतंत्रता संग्राम सेनानी और कांग्रेस का भावनात्मक लगाव था, ये भावनात्मक लगाव कितना यथार्थ था, ये इसका प्रमाण दे रहा है।
Now, what can I say? If there is a case that has been filed, 2,000 crores of assets have been taken from a company which had 5,000 shareholders and being handed over to a family of mother, son and son's advisor. If the Congress party wants to protest that, what are they protesting? Are they protesting that the property should be given to the family? Are they protesting that those 5,000 shareholders should not be given their rights? Are they protesting that this type of embezzlement and this type of siphoning should not be investigated? What are they protesting?
Now, before we can establish the veracity of those claims, a quick reminder of what is the National Herald controversy. National Herald was a newspaper published by a company called Associated Journals Limited, which during the course of its existence since 1938 had acquired several valuable real estate assets across India. These assets with AJL were reportedly worth over 2,000 crores. Now, the publishing of this newspaper stopped in 2008 despite the Congress party extending an interest-free loan of 90.25 crores to AJL. the company that owned National Herald. Then in 2010, another company named Young Indian was incorporated as a not-for-profit with Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi as majority stakeholders. Between the two of them, they had a combined stake of 76%. Now, AJL was unable to repay the loan of 90.21 crores back to the Congress. Remember, we had told you earlier that they had an interest-free loan extended to them by the Congress party, and despite that, in 2008, the publication stopped. This repayment could not happen, so the party transferred the 90 crore liability to Young Indian, on which the stakeholders were Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. This transfer happened for a mere 50 lakh rupees in December 2010. ED claims this was primarily done to take control of all of AJL's real estate, which were worth upwards of 2,000 crore rupees. Remember, the trial court summoned the Gandhis in 2014, and since then they have tried at all levels of the judiciary to get relief, but that did not happen. In 2015, they approached the Delhi High Court asking that the trial court summon be quashed. That was dismissed. Proceedings were allowed to continue. Then in 2016, they approached the Supreme Court for exemption from appearance and also asked that the case be quashed. The Supreme Court did grant exemption from personal appearance, but refused to quash the proceedings. The court laid emphasis on the fact that the legal process should not be obstructed. In 2018, they again knocked on the doors of the High Court after the Income Tax Department reopened the tax assessments against both the Gandhis for the financial year 2011-2012. Tax sleuths said that there were concealment of material facts related to the acquisition of AJL. The Gandhis challenged the move in the Delhi High Court. Even that plea was dismissed. The court ordered that the had the authority to reassess tax returns if it believed that income had not been assessed properly. The interesting thing now, we talked about the technical part. Let's take a look at the politics of it. Now, the India Alliance, the INDIA, nationally is still together, technically is still together. Congress is saying that agencies have been misused, but they are not really getting a lot of support from their allies. The Aam Aadmi Party, for one, is insistent that this is a case of corruption. It's an open and shut case, and there's a collusion between the BJP and the Congress that has kept the Gandhis out of jail. Aam Aadmi Party has gone so far as to say, what are you waiting for? Put the Gandhis in jail. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav also had a very interesting take. He said, I've always told the Congress party, you should do away with the ED altogether. Others have been a victim of the agency, and now the Congress is at the receiving end.
दोनों पार्टियां मिली हुई हैं, भाजपा और कांग्रेस. जब भी चुनाव आते हैं, ये ऐसे केस को रेकअप कर देते हैं. भाजपा के पास 10 साल से इतनी सारी एजेंसीज हैं, और नेशनल हेराल्ड केस तो एक ओपन एंड शट केस है, जहां आप अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को, आम आदमी पार्टी के नेताओं को अरेस्ट कर लिए बिना प्रमाण के, बिना सैंक्शन के, बिना लॉ फॉलो किए हुए, जहां कोर्ट ने ईडी सीबीआई को फटकारा इस इलीगैलिटी के लिए. वहां पर मुझे समझ नहीं आता कि आज तक कांग्रेस का कोई भी नेता अरेस्ट क्यों नहीं हुआ. एक सिंपल सी बात है, क्योंकि ये दोनों पार्टियां मिली हुई है. बिल्कुल गिरफ्तारी होनी चाहिए. एक ओपन एंड शट केस है. आप बताइए, कांग्रेस का एक भी नेता आज तक गिरफ्तार क्यों नहीं हुआ.
लेकिन नेशनल हेराल्ड में मैंने अभी कहा, ये जो ईडी का कानून, ये कांग्रेस ने ही बनाया था. और आप में से बहुत सारे लोग जानते होंगे कि उस समय बहुत सारे दलों ने विरोध किया था कि ऐसा कानून ला रहे हो कि अंतोगत्वा हो सकता है आपको भी परेशानी हो. और जो नेशनल हेराल्ड का इश्यू है, हमारा मानना, हमारी राय साफ है. हो सकता है मैं गलत हूं, लेकिन मैं यही समझ रखता हूं, इतनी समझ मुझे है कि ईडी जैसा विभाग खत्म कर देना चाहिए. मैं तो कांग्रेस पार्टी से कहूंगा कि वो कहें कि ईडी जैसा विभाग ही खत्म होना चाहिए. जब आपके पास इनकम टैक्स है, तो आप जीएसटी दे रहे हो, तो आप इसका मतलब इन विभागों पर भी भरोसा नहीं कर रहे हो.
Well, Akhilesh should know, because it was a Congress leader who filed a PIL in the Supreme Court against him and his father in 2005 that claimed that Mulayam Singh Yadav, his sons Akhilesh, Prateek, daughter-in-law Dimple Yadav had all amassed assets worth over 100 crore rupees Between 1999 and 2005, incidentally in 2012, the court directed the CBI to probe Mulayam and his sons, and finally in 2019, the CBI filed an affidavit confirming that the case was closed in 2013 due to a lack of evidence. Mulayam Singh in 2013 had accused the Congress of misusing central agencies exactly like the Congress is doing now, and he had said that the Congress is using the CBI to threaten its rivals and basically browbeat them into submission. The allies are now showing a mirror to the Congress as they face a tough legal challenge. They have a point that the Congress will have to fight this battle alone, as the legal screws are now only beginning to get tightened. Big day today in the courts as well, and there is big news coming from the Supreme Court, where the way was cleared for Justice B.R. Gavai to be the next Chief Justice of India. This would make him the second Dalit CJI that India has had after Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, who held that position from 2007 to 2010. Today, CJI Sanjeev Khanna recommended Justice B.R. Gavai, the second senior most judge of the Supreme Court, as his successor. The proposal has been sent to the Law Ministry as Khanna's tenure ends on the 13th of next month. This appointment comes at an interesting time given the heated debate in political circles over caste-based representation in all walks of life. You would have frequently heard it being said, especially by leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, that the backward, the Dalits in our country do not get adequate representation or in fact do not hold positions of power at all. Incidentally, last year, during a judgment on the sub-classification of reserved classes, Justice Gavai was also on the bench, and he had opined that the state must evolve a policy to identify the creamy layer among the SC/ST and take them out of the fold of reservation.
हाई कोर्ट में दलित आदिवासी पिछड़े बताओ, चुप हो गए, क्यों नहीं आपने? आप सोए हुए हो। 650 हाई कोर्ट के जज हैं, 73% आप लोगों की आबादी है, 100 जज 73% के पास, और वो भी छोटे। हिंदुस्तान में 73% को न कॉर्पोरेट हिंदुस्तान में जगह चाहिए, न मीडिया में जगह चाहिए, न कोर्ट्स में जगह चाहिए। तो फिर मैं आपसे कहता हूं, ठीक है बताओ, हिंदुस्तान के ब्यूरोक्रेट्स में आपके कितने लोग? 90 लोग हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को चलाते हैं। ये नरेंद्र मोदी को वहां पे बैठा रखा है, ये हिंदुस्तान नहीं चलाता। नरेंद्र मोदी के पास 90 लोग बैठे हैं, समझे? बजट बढ़ता है तो ये 90 लोग डिसाइड करते हैं कहां पैसा जाएगा।
Avail the benefits of reservation, have reached the high echelons in life, cannot be considered to be socially, economic, and educationally backward, plus to continue availing the benefit of affirmative action. They have already reached a stage where on their own accord walk out of the special provisions and give way to the deserving and needy. I may gainfully refer to the observations of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I quote, history shows that where ethics and economics come in conflict, victory is always with economics. Vested interests have never been known to have willingly divested themselves unless there was sufficient force to compel them, unquote. I am therefore of the view that the state must evolve a policy for identifying the creamy layer given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes so as to exclude them from the benefit of affirmative action. In my view, only this and this alone can achieve the real equality as enshrined under the Constitution.
Well, it's a matter of pride to have Justice Gavai in the top judicial post, but how does the rest of the judicial system fare when it comes to the representation of SC, ST and OBCs? The India Justice Report released recently gives a status check. Remember, as per the Constitution, appointment of judges to the Supreme Court and High Courts do not provide for reservation of any kind. But how have the appointments been done? Was there adequate representation? Let's take a look at the data provided since 2018 by those who recommended to the post of High Court judges to get an idea. Out of the 715 High Court judges appointed since 2018, 22 belong to the scheduled castes. This comes to around 3% of the total appointments. Next, let's take a look at the scheduled tribes. They make up 2.3% of the total appointments made to the High Court judges, which means that 16 judges belong to the scheduled tribes were appointed since 2018. A healthy tally of 89 out of 715 judges in the High Court belong to the OBC category, which brings their figure to nearly 12.5%. And 37 judges are from the minority community, putting them at 5.17%. How has the trend of these appointments been? As per a National Commission for Scheduled Caste report of 2011, there were only 21 judges from the SC and ST communities put together across the High Courts of India that year. In 2025, that is from 2011 to 2025, how has this figure changed? This combined figure has grown to 38, which means that the representation of judges in the High Courts belonging to the SC and ST community rose from 2.72% in 2011 to 5.25% in 2025, almost doubling. The scenario changes slightly when you look at the lower courts. Out of the total over 20,000 judges in lower courts, the scheduled castes have a decent representation of 14%, slightly below their population share. The scheduled tribes have a representation of 5%. The OBCs are almost 1/4. They have a 25% share with 5,243 judges, and the others, which includes the general category, has a representation of 55%. So what are the key takeaways that we see from this report when it comes to the representation? Is there real social justice? Jitni abadi utna haq when it comes to our judiciary. There has been a marginal increase in the representation of backward classes in high courts, despite the central government's request to give due consideration to qualified candidates coming from SC, ST, OBC minorities and women to promote social diversity. In the lower judiciary, though, SC and ST communities have a decent level of representation. Southern states have actually fared quite well in the representation of OBCs in the judiciary. Tamil Nadu has the highest at 75.2%, and Andhra Pradesh, on the other end, is at 39.1%. Delhi, though, is doing badly when it comes to the representation of backward castes in the lower judiciary. States like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar also show a low presence of judges belonging to the other backward castes, despite having large OBC populations. In the high courts, SC, ST and OBC judges account for only 23% of the total number, but in lower courts, this number zooms 45%. Yes, you are right. Justice has got nothing to do with caste, but when it comes to the issue of representation, and there has been an attempt, a concerted attempt and request for appointments to be shown to be more representative, so that there is not just equality, there is also equity. Yes, things have become better with time, but a lot still remains to be desired. And let's shift our focus to the United States now, where US President Donald Trump's government is engaged in a fresh tussle, this time with US varsities. The US government has announced plans to freeze Harvard's funds over $2.2 billion. This comes in response to the university's rejection in accepting the government's multiple demands to fight anti-Semitism on campus and other changes that would transform a large part, or that's what Harvard says, would transform a large part of the university's operations. Trump has accused leading universities of failing to protect Jewish students when college campuses around the country saw protests against the war in Gaza and US support for Israel last year. Now, Trump has also demanded an apology from Harvard for defying the government's diktat.
It's a very good question, and it's a question the president has obviously raised in his discussions and negotiations with not just Harvard, but also Columbia and many other Ivy League institutions. We have the Anti-Semitism Task Force, which the president promised and delivered on. The Anti-Semitism Task Forces across the government, representatives from various federal agencies who meet on a weekly basis to discuss the question that you just raised. And I think a lot of Americans are wondering why their tax dollars are going to these universities when they are not only indoctrinating our nation's students, but also allowing such egregious illegal behavior to occur.
While Harvard is the wealthiest university to stand up to the Trump administration's demands, it's not the only one. 7 universities are on the government's radar. Harvard, one of the wealthiest, has $9 billion in funding potentially on the line. The Trump administration is demanding external audits, limits on faculty authority, stricter oversight of international student behavior. So far, all of these have been refused. At Columbia, $400 million in funding is at risk. Columbia has accepted the administration's demands, including new oversight of Middle Eastern studies, tighter protest regulations, and enhanced campus security. Brown faces a potential freeze of $510 million. Trump officials allege the university has failed to control anti-Semitic sentiments. Similar claims are at Cornell, where at least $1 billion in funding is at stake. At Northwest University, $790 million in federal support is also at stake. Trump's demands are similar to those made of Columbia. They have been accepted, but still face the risk of a freeze. The University of Pennsylvania, or Penn State, is facing a $175 million freeze stemming from a 2022 controversy over a transgender athlete's participation. At Princeton, $210 million is on the line. Here too, the university has been accused of tolerating anti-Semitism. The Trump government issued a directive on the 3rd of April that called for wide-ranging changes. The directive has asked to discontinue the diversity, equity and inclusion offices. University has been asked to audit the student body, faculty and leadership to ensure that department is diverse. The administration has been asked to report students who are hostile to American values. Faculty and staff will be checked for plagiarism. Now, Donald Trump has taken to Truth Social platform, where he said Harvard must lose its tax exemption if it continues to promote political, ideological and terror-inspired sickness. He said that tax-exempt status is totally contingent on acting in public interest. However, Harvard has refused to stand down against these demands. Let's see how long the standoff continues. That's it then on today's edition of In Your Interest. Thanks very much for having tuned in. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Keep the appointment.
Smash your way to glory at the News9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध।